Hello. Welcome to the day two when we are actually going to learn data analysis using Excel. I'll be your instructor. My name is Dhruv. You can contact me if you have any doubts related to this chapter. We'll jump around with this lecture, but before we actually jump around, I want to emphasize on how critical this entire lecture is. I will keep it short. They're like a lot of small shortcuts that I want you to know, and you have to remember all of these shortcuts because while we are working with the entire Excel course that we're going to have ahead, we're going to use them. So don't feel like if that you are not able to understand a certain concept or you're not able to recall a certain concept. It's just that you have to practice as much as possible, especially this lecture. So I would like to, request you to go through this lecture again and again, time to time, periodically, so that you can remember all the information in your head. So we'll work around with this lecture series. I am really excited. This lecture series is all about understanding the basics of Excel and working with Excel the right way. So when I say working with Excel the right way, there are a couple of things that I want you to understand in the first place, and those are most of the times when we are actually, let's say, going through this data set, we are scrolling, or let's say we are actually moving between the sheets using our mouse. But that should not be the case. We are actually going to use certain shortcuts to actually move around with the sheets. We are actually never going to use our mouse. We are always going to focus to use our keyboard. So to help around with that, I always ask all of my students who are learning in person with me to put a tape on their mouse track if they are using a laptop like me right now, or to actually plug out the mouse entirely if they are not having a mouse track, so that they can know the actual way to use keyboard. Even if you want to, even if your reflexes will make your hand move towards the mouse, it will not be the case. Now using mouse is a practice that you have to do at times, right? You will see me using mouse at times, but at that time I will know that using mouse will actually reduce my time. So this lecture will actually increase your efficiency even if you know everything about Excel, right? There are a couple of things that you need to remember and a couple of things that you need to keep on practicing to get better and better and faster when it comes to Excel. We're not going to learn any formula or any technique right now, just about how to use Excel. So enough of emphasizing on the importance of this lecture, let's just dive in. So I'm really excited as always. So if we go around, there are a couple of things. First of all, if I move down, I can see some information is not displayed properly, and I want everything to be there properly. And second, some of these values have 2 decimal points, some of these values have only 1 decimal point, and some of these values have no decimal point. I cannot see the dates which are shown here, right? And this data is actually also getting out of the box. So to give enough space, I can go between F and G, and you can see a thin line here. I cannot zoom, and even if I do, I think you'll be able to see a proper line here. See, that is what will happen generally, but yeah, fine, I can see a line here. So I can just left click in and drag it to a certain level that the entire data set is actually visible. I need to give some more space, or this is when you give space manually based on your needs, right? Sometimes you can always give space using autofill. You just need to go between F and E, and you just need to do double click. So if I'm giving so much space which is not required, I can just do double click and the space will actually come into picture. So you can see these entries are taking space automatically. I necessarily don't have to do it by myself. And if you have to do it for all the columns, let's say I'm actually going ahead and I'm actually double clicking here, data set, I can see that all this information is now available. I can see everything. If I have to do for the entire sheet, there's so many rows, there's so many columns which are actually having the same problem, I can just go and left click on this flag. It will be between your columns, that is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that is your rows. Click on this flag and the entire sheet will be highlighted. Now double click between any column. It can be B, C, A, B, C, D, anything, anywhere. Double click and you can see the entire data set will actually take an autofill command and everything will be sorted and will be clean for you. right? That is one thing, the way you actually use Excel. Second thing that I would like to emphasize on is how do you navigate between sheets. So let's say okay, I will keep on writing what we have learned. We have learned for entire sheet. Second is navigating between sheets. We'll also be learning navigating, navigating between cells and selection. Is there anything else? We have to know alt equal function, and I'll just write navigating here. Navigating, I don't think there's anything, but never mind navigating. I don't think we have anything else. Oh yeah, there's one more. All control plus spacebar. That is selecting a particular column. So a couple of things that we'll be learning. So there are two ways to actually move from one sheet to the other. You can always do, click here and then you can move around. But I don't prefer that way. The best way to actually go with, navigating between sheets, it would be using control and page up or page down. So with page down, I will go to the next sheet. With page up, I will go to the previous sheet. So there's no sheet. So even when I will click on page down, I'm not going anywhere. But once I'm clicking on page up, I can go to the first sheet again. So this will help you to navigate, as quickly as you can think of. Again, you need to remember this practices as I'm practicing in this lectures. It's not like you will remember all of these techniques in just a day. And most of them are being developed by me. As you will work around with the lectures, there's some hacks that I will be telling you, which I developed as I work around with all the, with Excel in all these years. Second thing is navigating between cells. So you can see my mouse is still here and I was navigating using arrow keys. And this is what is preferred the most. So when you work with Excel, you need to remember arrow keys, and they work with both control and shift keys. So what do I mean by using control keys and arrow, a shift arrow keys? So if I have to go all the way to the bottom, I can't keep on clicking on all the way to the top. I can't keep on waiting for my Excel file to take me to the top and just keep clicking on this first up arrow. I just want to go directly like that. And this is a shortcut that you use, right? You don't even when we use mouse, it will take a lot of time for you to actually go around, and we are actually focusing on efficiency the most in this lecture series. And that's why you click on any cell, and let's say you want to go to the last cell on your right, top, bottom, down, wherever, right? You can just click on control first key, and then you can use your arrow keys. If I want to go right, all the way to the right, I can click on control right arrow. All the way to the top, I can go control up arrow. All the way to the bottom, I can go using control down arrow. Now remember, we are not going to the end of the sheet. We are going to the last data point in the sheet. So if I'm here, I will not be navigated to this 1,48,000 row. I will be navigated to the 1654 row, 165. So you can see the row number here, right? And yeah, they are like only 1,48,000 rows in our Excel. So there's a limitation. We can't have infinite data. So we can just move around. I can go every single time, and I can just move around with that. And if I want to select everything, we are just navigating right now, but if I have to select everything, I can do that using shift plus arrow keys. So I will click on shift and do right arrow, and you can see I've selected everything. Everything is being highlighted except the first cell, and that would be the active cell, right? So if I'm doing control C for copy, C for copy, and we are using control C for everything. And if I do control V, V for victory, that is paste, then it will paste everything. So I selected something and I'm pasting something here, right? But the thing is, let's say I wanted to select all of these dates. Again, I just cannot wait for my arrow keys to take me all the way to the bottom. And just how we actually are navigating from top to the bottom using control arrow keys, we'll do the same right now. We'll do control, shift and arrow keys. I'll click on control and I'll click on shift and then do control, shift, down arrow. And you can see everything is just selected. So control is actually telling Excel that boss, the person who's using keyboard right now, he wants to go from all the way to the top, all the way to the bottom. And shift is telling Excel that whatever information is in between, select everything. And the direction of selection is using an arrow key. So imagine it like that. You don't have to, remember why we are using having control and then shift and then arrow keys. Just remember how we do it. That is control arrow keys, only arrow keys when we're just going very nearby, and then control shift arrow keys. So you will see me using these two keys a lot of times, right? And you will be using it too once you get a hang over that, right? So most of the Excel file that you will have, that you will be working with me also, most of them will actually be very, very long, right? They won't have 100 sheets, 200 sheets. This is also a very small Excel sheet, but for you it will be a very big sheet. I know for a fact. For me, I have worked with sheets which will have 10,000, 20,000 rows, so it's not an issue for me. But for you, I'm just telling you these simple techniques are something that you need to remember every single time. And this is a trick that that is there, and in most of the people, I don't know why they just don't do it. So let's say you have to calculate the sum of money. So this column is the transaction that you are getting. So this entire data set relates to a coffee restaurant that you own, and you want to, let's say, calculate the transaction amount, the value that your this thing is getting, your restaurant is getting in this entire data time frame, right? That is 3/1/2024 till 9/2022/2024, right? So the way to do is actually clicking on equal to and writing sum, and then you can go ahead and just like how we actually used our control shift arrow keys to select everything, the same way we'll actually do it. We'll not use our mouse to select like that. It will take us infinite time, you can see. But if I'm actually okay, and if I'm actually going all the way to the top, control shift down arrow, everything is selected. I don't want my 1655 to be selected because that's where my formula is. I'll do 4 here and click enter. It will give you this value 52204. So this is the way you actually use control shift right arrow while you're using a sum function or any other function. But there's a better way to do everything. That is, you just need to delete it and use alt equal to. Just do alt equal to and it will select all the data which is at the top, or maybe to the left, maybe to the right. It will just identify by itself. And once you click on enter, 52204. You don't have to write equal to sum and then do everything. You can just go here, alt equal to, get everything, enter. That's all, right? As quickly as possible. And I'll be sharing a lot of such tricks because at the end of the day, we want to be the most efficient data analyst, especially in Excel and Power Query, Power Pivot, and all the tools that I'm going to teach you. Right? This will make you, industry strong based on how the industry is working right now. The last thing that I want to teach you is how to select this entire column, and we do it using Control spacebar. You can see A is highlighted now. You can always do, go to B, C. You can click here and everything will be selected. But I prefer Control spacebar because once you get a hang over it, it is addictive. Trust me, you will not be able to use your mouse and select everything. I'll always do Control spacebar, and let's say I want to select the entire column to the right, shift right arrow for one more. If I have to select everything to my left, Control shift right arrow, right? So there are a couple of things that you can see here that I'm doing, and I hope you are able to understand what I mean right now. One more thing, if you want to select this entire data set in front of you, Control A. A stands for all, that's select all for me. And you can see wherever I had information is actually selected now. You can work around and you can see. I'm not using control right now because I've selected something already. And if I'm using control, it will get deselected. I can show you if you want. If I click here, it will just get deselected. I don't want that to happen to me. And date is a another separate entity now, not included, as you can see here. But nevertheless, these are some of the shortcuts that I wanted to emphasize the most on, and I'll be using all of these shortcuts extensively with the entire course. So I hope you're able to get a gist of what exactly is happening right now and how to work around with all of that. That would be it from my end. If you have any doubts, you can always contact me. Thank you.